So one of my favorite Southern side dishes is fried okra. So obviously I wanted to do a keto-friendly, low-carb fried okra. And now I finally come up with it. I'd been trying to use the breading that I used on my country fried steak and other things, but it just wasn't coming out quite right. So I came up with this one instead, and it's absolutely delicious. And okra is one of those things that if you mess it up, it is awful. But if you get it right, it's one of the most delicious things you can eat. It naturally grows in 2 places in the world, India and the southern United States. Then I'm gonna get some comments that you can grow it up north and everything like that, but it's traditionally a southern food. You may have never heard of it before. But if you haven't, get you some. I'm gonna show you how to make it right after this. So this fried okra is an awesome side dish. It goes really good if you're frying up something else at the same time. It's a great side for country fried steak. It's a great side for fried fish. And if you go to any kind of diner down here in the South, you're gonna find the fried okra. But don't eat that. Make this instead. Save the carbs. It's fast, it's easy, and it's delicious. That's a winning combination to me. So let's go over in the kitchen. I'll show you what you need to put together your own fried okra, or okra if you're a little more south of me. They call it okra. I don't know. The first thing you're gonna need for this fried okra is not the okra. You gotta have something to fry it in, and I recommend extra virgin olive oil. I know you've probably been told you can't fry in olive oil, that it'll smoke and all that, but that is not true. The next thing you're gonna need is the okra. Now this is about a pound of okra, give or take a little bit. It's 15, 16 pods. You're gonna need 2 eggs, don't let them roll away, but you're gonna need those to bread them with. The next thing you're gonna need is some almond flour. And if I were gonna give you specifics on this, I'd tell you about a 1/4 cup of this, but it's gonna be 1 part of this, it's gonna be 1 part of the pork breadcrumbs, and I'll link my video up there at the top and down in the description for the easiest way to make those. And you're gonna need about 1/2 cup of some grated Parmesan cheese. And you may need to add some or all of these if you're breading more things, but that's the ratio. You're gonna need some Redmond's real salt, and that's just to taste, whatever you like. The next thing you'll add to taste is just some black pepper. I like to use the coarse black pepper, but if you've got fine black pepper, you can use that also. The best pepper to use is what you got. And then I like to put a little of my cowboy candy on top, or you could just use a jalapeno relish or a sweet jalapeno relish, whatever you want to top it with. And if you want the recipe for how I make that, make sure you leave me a comment and I'll put that video out for you. The first thing you're gonna wanna do is grate up that Parmesan cheese. Now you can make big grates like this, but what I prefer to do is go to the smaller grater and use kind of the smaller of the holes, just depending on what I'm doing. Now you can actually find some pretty good, clean, shredded Parmesan now these days that doesn't have a whole lot of added ingredients, but there's just something about shredding it myself that I really like. So this is the way I like to do it right here. You can do it in bigger chunks too, but I feel like this way and this size just makes it perfect for breading the okra or anything else you want to fry up. And after you got a good bit of that grated, I'll go ahead and put it in a big glass Pyrex baking dish. And just remember, the ratio is the important part. For every bit of the Parmesan that you have, you're gonna have the same amount. 1/2 of these pork breadcrumbs, and then 1/2 of the almond flour. And you'll see in a future video why I did so much of this. You don't need this much just for the okra, but I got a lot more things that I'm frying up tonight. And then just go ahead and dump that 1/2 almond flour, 1/2 pork breadcrumb mixture right in there, and then give it a good stir. And then once that's all pretty well incorporated in there, I'm gonna take another glass dish and go ahead and get my eggs ready, because we're gonna egg wash it and then we're gonna put it in that breading. So I'll just crack the eggs right into here, and then I'll mix it up right inside this Pyrex. You're not gonna add any water or anything to this to water it down. It's just gonna be the eggs. And I'm doing 4 eggs. I know I told you it was 2. If you're just doing the okra, you're probably just gonna need 2 eggs, but just remember those ratios. That's what you're gonna use. That's the important part, depending on what you're making. Then you'll give these a good mix,
And after you get done with that, we'll be ready to go on to the next step.
If you like some keto and low carb side dishes, make sure you subscribe to my channel down there and hit the bell. Anytime I do another video, you'll know about it.
So next we're just gonna prep our okra. Now the first thing you do is just wash it off real good, of course. But I like to cut these ends off like that because I don't like those. I think that when you bread them, they need to be the same size all the way through. So I'll just cut those ends off and make sure they're all about the same size. And then once I've got all those done, I'm just gonna cut it into probably 1/4 inch pieces, just like that. Go all the way through all these, and I'll take the ends off because I'm not gonna do those either. So just cut them into little pieces like that. Take your ends and throw those over there with those little end pieces. And then we've got all of our prepared okra. Just dump it right into that egg wash, which is just pure eggs. You can salt and pepper that a little bit if you want to, but just throw them all in the pool there. We're gonna kind of spin them around and get these things real happy and fully covered in that egg. Just make sure you give them a real good stir. Make sure that egg is all the way over these, because the more of the egg you get on there, the better the breading is gonna stick, and that's what you want for some perfect fried okra. And then I'll just take them like this and put them in a little strainer. That'll get all the excess egg off. You want it to stick on there really good, but you don't want it to be super wet when you put it in the breading, because then you're just gonna have a wet breading, and you know, you can't fry like that. Just make sure you get rid of the excess, but make sure they're fully coated, and you're gonna be good to go. Now that you got that step done, ain't nothing to it but to do it. So just go ahead and drop that right in that breading that we prepared earlier, which is the combination of that Parmesan cheese, those pork breadcrumbs, and that almond flour. Oh man, this is gonna be some good stuff. And make sure that the hands you use to put the okra in there is not the same hand that you use to put that breading right over the top of it, because it'll just build up on your hands, and then your hands gonna be breaded instead of the okra. And unless you're gonna fry up some fingers, you don't want that. So just keep one hand wet, one hand dry, and then put those right in another dish to fry up in just a minute. Now I've already fried up a couple other things, so that oil is already nice and hot. It needs to be about 350 degrees. Now I'm just gonna start dropping that okra in just a little bit at a time. Now if you got any excess breading, make sure you shake that off a little bit too. Then just add these right into the pan, and we're gonna let them cook till they start getting golden on one side, and then we're gonna flip them over and take care of the other side. I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. So we gotta test them now. After they look like they're gonna get a little bit of brown on the sides, just flip them over and see if they're ready. And if they are, just flip them all over like that. Make sure you get both sides. If you got a deep fryer, even easier, but for me, I like to do them right on the stove top. I don't like messing with that and changing out so much oil. This is a whole lot easier for me to fry with. Now once this okra's brown, we'll take it out, put it on some paper towels on a plate, and just hit it with a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper while it's nice and vulnerable. Once it comes out of the oil, that's when you want to hit it with that. It'll absorb that salt and pepper, and any of the seasonings you want to put on there, it'll get it right in there and make it the most delicious fried okra that you've ever had. And now it's time. Just take some of that beautiful fried okra, put it on a plate with whatever else you've decided to fry up that night, and then top it with a little bit of that cowboy candy. We're gonna be eating good tonight, I'm telling you.
You wanna see something else that goes good with fried okra? Check this out right here. And then after you watch that one, watch this one. Thanks so much for watching. Share this video with somebody you think would like it. Thanks for all your comments and likes, and I'll see you on the next video.